A warm welcome to all of you. I'm happy to meet again, and welcome is new. So also for you, welcome. All the others of you are more or less familiar. Some others are not present tonight, but they will receive the recording and the summary. But of course, all of you will receive the recording and the summary, as always. All included. All-inclusive holiday in Dharma paradise. So also for you. So we have many beautiful topics, all suggested or requested by some of you. And as always, you have received topics. And as always, I will try my best to treat them according to my limited knowledge. And always I try to connect the topics together, which in the Dharma is always possible, because we can approach the Dharma from many viewpoints. But in essence, they all come together. So, and also I will try my best to treat the topics in stages. So sometimes one topic is a main topic, then other topics are treated as on the sideline and will be a main topic in another meeting. And the benefit of this is that we can see the connection between the topics, and the benefit is that we can slowly, step by step, enter the topics. So for tonight, I thought it might be logical, makes sense to start with taking refuge in the smallest details of our daily life and as a ceremony with the Guru. And then a meditation on emptiness. And in the sidelines, give you some connections with equanimity, which is also one of your topics, one of your requests. So regarding refuge, as I guess that all of you are Buddhists, meaning having taken refuge, apart from my sister. That maybe won't take long. I don't know. So I think it's wonderful if we can start with taking refuge ourselves or together, because in the Buddhist practice, once we consider ourselves Buddhist, or once we connect ourselves to a Buddhist teaching or meditation, we always start with taking refuge. Every beginning of a Dharma meeting, Dharma activity starts with refuge, and at the end there's always the dedication, which I forget most of the times in the meetings. But for me it's no problem, because when I close the day, I dedicate all the beautiful and wonderful activities of the day to the Buddha, the Dharma around me. So once then I've dedicated them to the Buddhas and the Dharma Bodhisattvas, and then they are no longer mine. They belong as offerings to the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas. So I don't possess them anymore, these merits. I've offered them to the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas before I go to sleep, and so they're no longer mine. And Buddhas and Bodhisattvas They don't want them as something from their own. Buddhas, bodhisattvas, they spread the merits of all that they have received. They spread the merit from all they have received from all beings that day throughout the world. So if I forget to dedicate, then you all have your own practice, I guess, to share the merit. And it's always important to share the merit in a careful way with mindfulness and awareness and with intense motivation and dedication. So sometimes I feel it is not appropriate when I have 3 or 4 minutes left in a hurry to dedicate a merit at the end of a meeting. Anyway, taking refuge in the beginning and dedicating the merit at the end for the benefit of all beings, and as an offering to the Buddhas, bodhisattvas, as a contribution to the happiness in the world for all beings. Because we do not dedicate to the Buddhas and the bodhisattvas. They don't want our dedication. What they want is that we share our merit with all beings in the world for their happiness. That is the heartfelt wish from all Buddhas and bodhisattvas. Buddhas and bodhisattvas don't need our dedication because they are pure beings and they don't want something for themselves. So for starting with refuge, if you would like to sit in your body meditation posture, to sit comfortable in the 6-point meditation posture, which is, or 7-point, which is sitting stable with your feet and your legs on the floor, which is immutability and disturbability of mind. And upper body is straight, all the channels and the nadis in the body are straight as an arrow, so that the winds and the energies and the pure mind can flow unhindered throughout our body and being beneficial, which is the pure mind and the bodhicitta entering our body, feeding our body. And the hands are resting on the thighs, one hand on the other, which is the harmony and the unity in the mind and in the world. Means there's no discrimination. There's no enemy and no loved ones, no left and right. So it is non-discriminative awareness and compassion for all beings, the non-duality. Shoulders are relaxed. The eyes you can close or you can half open, what you like, what you prefer. And face is relaxed. The mouth is smiling, like the face and the smile of the Buddha, Sakya Muni. And this is a representation of the inner Buddha character and the outer Buddha face. And your tongue touches the pelvis just behind the upper teeth in order to prevent breathing problems or bile problems. So please sit for a few moments in this outer and inner meditation posture of the Buddha. That is you, yourself. This is not your ordinary body, not your ordinary self. It is your ultimate being. So this is the inner refuge, refuge to the inner Buddha. We will come to that later. And for the outer refuge, visualize all the Buddhas and bodhisattvas in all directions around you, limitless in number. As is said in the text, that on each atom there is a Buddha or a bodhisattva. You can choose for yourself which Buddha or which bodhisattvas, or one Buddha. In all directions, limitless in number. And then you pray that you and all beings in this universe will attain Buddhahood, and all beings in this universe will be free of suffering, and all beings in the universe may live in happiness and joy and equanimity towards with each other. So joy, happiness, compassion, and equanimity for all beings in all directions, surrounded by limitless Buddhas and bodhisattvas. Me alone will always be there, will not judge me, will not humiliate me, but will always support me with love and compassion and loyalty. In such kind of persons, in ourselves or others, gives us faith. So on one hand there's fear, and on the other hand, if we take refuge, then there must be faith. We only take refuge in something or someone if there is faith and trust, as just given some examples. We do not put our faith and trust in someone that we do not trust, right? So there must be something or someone, and therefore we take refuge out of faith. And third is taking refuge out of compassion. Compassion towards ourselves, as I've already given some examples, that compassion is I suffer, and there are so many other beings suffering, and I don't want to suffer, and there are so many other beings around me and in the world. That is nothing new. We are aware of that every moment of the day, that there is suffering and change from happiness into suffering. There are countless examples every moment of the day. So if you don't want other beings to live like that, if I don't want to live in a state of constant flux of happiness and suffering, then the source of refuge is compassion. May we all be free from suffering, and may we all live in happiness and joy and equanimity, and that we have all the circumstances to live a happy life. And this is in a certain way also a level of equanimity. We don't want to be disturbed time and time again by the change of happiness and sorrow. We want to live a stable, happy, balanced, strong, with inner powers in our life. This is a search for equanimity in our state of mind, not being disturbed time and time again by disturbances. So one might also say taking refuge is the need for equanimity. So fear is liberation out of suffering from in our daily life and in samsara. And this is called the small motivation for refuge, being liberated from suffering. And out of faith means we trust that there is a protecting source inside or outside of us. Someone or something that is protecting us, a protecting force. And out of compassion is that no one wants to suffer and wants to be free from suffering. And this is what we call the great motivation, the Mahayana motivation. I think you are familiar with that. Mahayana means great, great path, meaning may all beings be free from suffering, may all beings live in happiness, may all beings live in joy, and may all beings live in equanimity. These are the 4 Brahma Viharas, the 4 divine abodes where we wish to be, all of us. So this is the Mahayana, all beings be free from suffering. So this is about the motivation. And then how long is taking is the refuge that we want to take, or when we want to enjoy. And in the Buddhist scriptures it is said, well, it takes until we have attained a stage of perfect Buddhahood. Okay? Until we have attained the stage of perfect Buddhahood, we need the refuge, the protection, the faith, the compassion, the protection against fear, the faith, and the compassion. And perfect Buddhahood, of course, is a very large topic, but it is perfect Buddhahood means it is free from samsara and understands reality and ultimate reality, and is free from aversion and attachment. So there is love and compassion for all beings. So Buddhahood means understanding the difference in relative and absolute reality and abiding in the absolute reality. It is the full compassion for all beings without any discrimination. So meaning free from, it is love and compassion, free from attachment and free from aversion, which is also the ultimate equanimity. Ultimate equanimity means I'm not, Buddhahood means I'm not discriminating. I wish every being to be free from suffering. So in per state of perfect Buddhahood and in the state of perfect equanimity, ultimate equanimity, there are no enemies and there are no friends. There are no loved ones and there are no enemies. No discrimination. Right? So how many lives it will take? We will take refuge until this state of perfect Buddhahood is attained. Or actually I should say is arisen to the full in us. It's not attained, it has arisen to the full capacity and quality. How many lives it will take. Right? So therefore the objects of refuge, we know 3. There's the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. They're also called the 3 secrets, and I will come to that later, why they are called secrets. Normally we think of outer Buddha, outer the Dharma as the text, and the outer Sangha, the Bodhisattvas. But the secret is that they are not outside, they are inside. So I will come to that later. So Buddha, I've just explained. Then this is the secret Buddha. Buddha in itself means awakened. And I've just explained what the Buddha is. So this is the inner awakening of these Buddha qualities. In short, it is understanding the difference between relative and absolute reality and abiding in it. It is the full compassion and abiding in it. And it is the ultimate equanimity. So wisdom, love, and compassion. And dharma, the second object, dharma, I think most of us will understand dharma as dharma has many meanings. For instance, all objects, all phenomena in the universe are and outside and inside are called dharma. That's phenomena. Dharma is also has also the meaning of the Buddha Dharma, which are the teachings, the sayings, the sutras of the Buddha at his time. So the Dharma are the sutras and the wisdom of the Buddha's teachings. But Dharma also has another meaning, and literally it means to hold, or that which holds. So Dharma means holding. It holds something that holds, and this holding means it holds us to the consequences. So, in other words, if we practice the Buddha Dharma, then it means, and if we take refuge into the Dharma, then it means it holds us in the Dharma, it holds us in the behavior that belongs to the path of the Buddha. And it also has the consequences of practicing the Dharma. So if we practice Dharma to liberation, if we practice Dharma for protection, you remember, out of fear and faith, if we practice for the benefit of all beings, then it means that this Dharma, this vow in the refuge, that this Dharma holds us in our behavior, in our motivation, and it holds us in the consequences of this. So practice Dharma as a consequence is, it is the liberation, it is protection, it is love and compassion. And it is wisdom, understanding reality. So this Dharma means it holds us in this whole attitude of our behavior, our motivation, and our refuge. Dharma holds us in the path and in the protection and in the love and compassion of the Buddhas. And these are called, and then the secret sangha is that are all beings that are stages, that are on the stages and the path to Buddhahood. And there in the West, we have two kinds of sanghas. Here in the refuge, the sanghas are meant to be the bodhisattvas. Like, I think you're familiar with them, Green Tara with 21 aspects, or Manjushri, the bodhisattva of wisdom, or Chenrezig, Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva of compassion. And there's Samantha Bhadra and others. Also medicine, Buddha in its bodhisattva activities, and so on. So these bodhisattvas, they are on their path, on the bhumis, on the stage to Buddhahood. Buddhahood is on the 11th or the 13th stage of development, the final stage. And the bodhisattvas, they are on the stages, the bhumis, from 1 till 12. So also bodhisattvas are transcending on the path to Buddhahood through several levels called bhumis, each with their own qualities and with their own attainments, and also with their all small hindrances. But that is why they are on the stage to Buddhahood, to purify and to get rid of the hindrances and obstructions, even on the path of the Bodhisattva. So that's why there are 9 or 10, exactly stages of the Bodhisattvas. And these are called the Sangha. And the Bodhisattvas are generally belong to the path of the Mahayana. Where we strive for not only for my own happiness, for the happiness of all beings. And Bodhisattvas, they have the same intention, the same motivation for their path to liberation, in order to be able to be meaningful to all growing number of beings, because of their transformation and their development on their path to liberation. So we take refuge in the Buddha, in the Dharma, in the Sangha, so briefly explained. And then the secret in that is that we might think that these Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are outside of us, that the Dharma are all these books that we study, here standing next to me, or somewhere else, so the study is there, that the Sangha, they are where is it bigger? Yeah, the tangas and the tangas and the hanging on the wall. But that is not the real refuge. The real refuge is the Buddha and the Dharma inside of us. The path of refuge is an inner path. There is nothing outside of us that can give us refuge. There's no Buddha outside. There are no Bodhisattvas outside that we can ask. Well, please, will you help me? Will you protect me? I have faith in you. Will you bless me? I'm suffering. Will you please give your compassion to me? Will you help me on the path to liberation? Yeah. So there is nothing outside that we can take refuge in. And that's what Buddha always said. Buddha said, do not depend on me, do not depend on my words, do not depend on my behavior. The only thing that I can do is I can show you the path, I can explain you the path, but you have to be independent. You have to find your own action. You have to be a refuge in yourself. You are, in other words, literally, I think he said, you are your own refuge. And Buddha is only the guide, the teacher. The Dharma are his words, and the Bodhisattvas are his attendants, the doctor, the medicine, and the nurses, also sometimes given as example. But these are sources that we can consult, but we have to be our own inner refuge. We have to be independent. We have to be our inner Buddha, our inner Dharma, and inner Sangha. And do not depend on the Buddha statues or the Buddha pictures. Do not depend on the teachers, the lamas, the gurus that are visiting us or we are visiting them. Do not depend on them as a way that they will liberate us. So this is the secret of refuge. The Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha are inner sources of liberation, inner sources of refuge, inner sources of faith in the sources of protection. So once again, there is nothing outside that we can take refuge in. So we will come back later to how to practice. So then briefly, how do we take refuge? We can take refuge through ritual. That means we find an authentic teacher, which is raised in the authentic dharma, and which uses the authentic teachings. And we can request this lama to hold a ceremony where we can take the refuge. This lama can give us our refuge name. As I believe my refuge name is Sungrab Woeser. This is my refuge name. My ordination name is Sungrab Woeser. My tantric name is secret. I don't tell you. So there is maybe a lama can give you a refuge name, which is different from your ordinary name. And with this lama gives you the opportunity to take the vows in the Buddha, the vows in the Dharma, and the vows in the Sangha, the three jewels. Right? And then this lama becomes your spiritual friend, and he becomes your spiritual friend. So there is a connection between the lama that is giving you refuge and the other way around. So the refuge and the vows are a safe haven in our problems and lives in samsara. The ritual is, as I just explained. These are the secrets of the Buddha, the inner Buddha, the secret Dharma, inner Dharma, and the inner Sangha. And the vows we can take through a ritual by a request to a lama, and he gives us the vow of refuge, be it the Theravada vows or the vow of individual liberation, as I've just mentioned, or the Mahayana vow, may all beings be free from suffering. And the Theravada refuge is, may I be free from suffering, may I liberate myself from suffering. This is the Theravada refuge for individual liberation. And the Mahayana refuge is, may I take refuge for the well-being and the happiness of all beings. And there's also a Mantrayana or a Tantric refuge. And for that we need the guru. We cannot practice Mantrayana or Tantrayana without the guru. And if we decide to be on the path or to enter on the path of the Bodhisattva, may I take refuge for the benefit of all beings. May I develop all my qualities for the benefit of all beings. Then we can take the Bodhisattva vows. But the basis of Mahayana vows, the basis of Mantrayana vows, the basis of Tantrayana vows, the basis of Bodhisattva vow is the refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and Sangha, as just explained. These are the three sources, the three protections on the path. So this is formally more or less what is the refuge. And now, if I've just already mentioned briefly, that there is no refuge in outer beings. There is no refuge in someone or something outside of us that will protect me. There is just only the guru can give us the vows and perform the ceremony, which is very precious and important. But the ultimate, most essence of the refuge is taking refuge in ourselves, in the inner Buddha, in the inner Dharma, in the Sangha. And so then, of course, is how can we do that? There are many ways. So there's what was one of your questions. How can we take refuge in the smallest details of our daily life? Well, there are many practical advices for that, because it means that we do not take refuge in other beings, in other deities, in other gods, in other religions, in other spiritual leaders, other than the Buddha. So refuge in the Buddha means I do not take refuge in other religions, in other opinions, in other deities or gods, different than from the Buddhist deities and gods and teachers and so on, and bodhisattvas. So this is refuge in the Buddha. Refuge in the Dharma means we avoid harming other beings. This is the secret and ultimate refuge in the Dharma. We do not, or we avoid harming other beings in body, speech, and mind. So this is the equanimity of not harming other beings. This is our daily job to do. Whatever situation arises in my daily life, whatever negative emotion or thinking arises in me, immediately in that moment, I have to remember I took refuge in the Dharma. And refuge in the Dharma means I avoid harming other beings. So this is the inner refuge where we transform our fear in faith and in compassion. The fear of being hurt, the fear of suffering, we immediately transform or try to transform in faith in the Dharma and the Buddha, and out of compassion. I don't want to harm other beings, and I don't want to harm myself through creating negative karma. So this is a practical consequence of taking refuge in the Dharma, or in other words, having promised, having taken the vow in front of the Guru in taking the refuge in the Dharma. This is the vow, and I cannot break this vow. And this is the same with the refuge in the Sangha. We have to, a Sangha means in this case that we have to make sure that we keep good company. And good company means friends, acquaintances, people I know, also with the correct view. And the correct view here means I connect myself taking refuge in the Sangha as a connection, to keep a connection with beings which have the same view, meaning not causing harm to others. So means beings that I know that are causing harm to others, I cannot consider them as being a Sangha. Of course, I can practice bodhicitta, I can practice compassion and love and protection towards them, but I do not keep good connections with people who are creating suffering for others by body, speech, and mind. So these are three basic rules regarding taking refuge in Buddha, Dharma, Sangha as a daily practice. And because I have taken the vows of the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha in this way. So this is taking refuge means holding the vow each moment of the day and remember the vow each moment of the day. Okay, so far? So, of course, then there are some common rules. That means that we respect all the Buddhas, all the Buddha statues, all the tangas, all the photos here or around. Even if you see a Buddha statue in a gardening shop. Recently, we visited a garden, a private garden, and it looked like that this man liked Buddha statues. And he had one statue of almost 1.5 meters standing on the ground, which is already doubtful, but okay. But he also had 4 faces of Buddhas, flat faces of stone, and he had put them on the ground in his garden as stepping stones. So this is not a very respectful way of treating Buddha images, Buddha statue. So I talked with him about that. That's all I can do. And he was not a Buddhist. He loved Buddha statues, and in this way, he integrated them in his garden. So he was innocent. So we cannot blame him. But for a Buddhist, this would be a breaking of the vow, if you do something like that. We will not do that, but suppose. Or we place a Buddha statue lower than ourselves, or we have dust on the statues, or whatever. And refuge in the Dharma means having respect for all the texts and all the books and all the prayers, even one piece of paper torn from a leaf should be respected as the words of the Buddha. So we do not step over them, we do not sit on them, we do not put our cup of coffee on the Dharma text, something like that. So these are some general rules on respect for statues as Buddha and the Dharma text. And there are some daily rules regarding also as a consequence of the vows. If we believe that I have no time for practice, all these things, or have no time for practice, study or reading or meditating, or if I have no time to remember or forget all the time not to harm other beings and so on. Just believing that one has no time for practice is breaking the vow. Because I've taken the vow and I've taken refuge, I took refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. So then if it is the vow, then I have to keep the vow. So thinking that I have no time for practice is not an excuse, is breaking the vow of the refuge. No time to think of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So in this way, if we think like that, we create obstacles for ourselves, and it is the wrong way of thinking. And secondly is that if there is any problem or difficulty or suffering or illness in my daily life, then immediately I have to turn or try to turn to the Dharma and the Buddha and the teacher, or the Sangha. Right? That depends, of course, on your practice. With the Dharma and the Buddha, we can always immediately turn to as soon as we are in problem, in suffering or in illness or whatever, immediately. Or try immediately to turn to the Dharma. This is a consequence of taking refuge. Then whatever we consume, the third one, whatever we consume for ourselves, clothes, drinks, presents, whatever, first offer it to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. When we buy something in shops or something I require, whatever it is, first offer it to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Or when buying food or clothes or drinks or something I require in the Mahayana refuge, I can offer it to all beings. May all beings be free from hunger, from cold, from poverty, and so on. So that is the refuge in the Mahayana. Firstly, directly offer it to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and for the happiness of all beings. And then you buy your new dress. Huh? So the fourth is in whatever direction we move, it is important to remember the three jewels. The three jewels are everywhere in our mind. So in every direction where I move or drive or walk or swim or step, try to remember the jewel in all directions of the universe. Because this is very beneficial to the places where we are and the places where we are heading to. And then we can receive blessings from those places. So it is important to remember the three jewels, making offerings to them, and the benefit of doing this as much as possible, the benefit of this is inconceivable. So then, as 7 as said, we are not allowed to harm others. We are not allowed to harm others. If we do so, we have, of course, our purifying forces we've discussed before, like confessing and like promising not to do it again, try to make the vow again for the Buddha and the Dharma and the Sangha, to confess them, not to do them again, and also strive for not doing it again. These are the 4 forces, purifying forces. So, but in any case, most important is, since we have taken refuge, we are not allowed to harm others. So there are, in essence, no enemies. There are no enemies in taking refuge, when we have taken refuge. We support, we transform our impure deeds into the negativities and obstructions and harmful intentions. We try to transform them as Buddha advised us and as the Bodhisattvas has shown us and the teachers. This is a consequence of taking a refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. We are not allowed to harm beings, and we are not allowed to have enemies. And if they are there, then we have to transform the inner impurities. And that is where we can prove that there is an inner refuge out of fear, that there is an inner refuge out of faith, and that there is an inner refuge out of compassion. No one, when I'm angry at someone, no one is coming and helping me and solve my problems. Only my inner Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha can help me. So this is the inner secret refuge again. So, and the other way around is that we have to accomplish all the different types of virtues, as many as possible. And this, of course, we have the paramitas, we have the Eightfold Path, we have the vows for one day of body, speech, and mind. We can start every day, but first, when I wake up, is remembering the vow, and I promise myself not try not to do, to create enemies or any negative action. So there are many practical ways how we can refresh the promise every day and remember it every day and try it every day. This is a consequence of refuge. So it is avoiding and it is creating. It is avoiding, transforming everything that is causing suffering by negativities or obstruction or harmful intention. And on the other way, it is creating as many virtues as possible. Kindness, benevolence, patience, morality, and so on. We have been talking about this the 6 paramis, but everything that is beneficial. Giving protection, helping, supporting oneself and others. So this is the path of realization to the inner Buddha, the inner Dharma, and the inner Sangha. Based on the vows, may all beings be free from suffering, included myself. So we might also call that this is the secret equanimity of refuge. It means there is not yet equanimity, but we try to develop this equanimity. So taking refuge, holding the vows, is not something we do in a few minutes. The procedure, the ritual, the ceremony doesn't last long, but the consequences are in everyday life, in every situation, life after life, until we have reached the state of Buddha, full Buddhahood. Then the inner refuge is no longer necessary. And it is also a consequence of the third and the fourth noble truth. There is a path of liberation, there is possibility of liberation, and there is the path of liberation. This is what Buddha meant with the consequences of taking refuge. So one is one's own refuge. There's no outer Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So we can follow Buddha's words, Buddha way of living, the advices, the text of Buddha. We can follow the advices of our teachers. These are so precious. But only me, myself, I am able to cultivate the inner Buddha, inner Dharma, and the Sangha. There's only one refuge, and it is the inner refuge, with our spiritual companions outside of us. Okay. Is this hopefully an answer to brief. And you might ask, yeah, but why is it possible? Why should it be possible that I realize Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha? And we in Mahayana Buddhism, we all believe that all beings have a Buddha nature with all the qualities. I will not go into that now. But in Mahayana Buddhism, the specific hallmark of Mahayana Buddhism is that all beings, sentient beings with a consciousness, also have the Buddha nature. So that's why there is only inner refuge in Buddha nature, Buddha possible, and it makes sense because there is a Buddha nature. If there wasn't a Buddha nature, then it wouldn't make sense to take refuge in the inner Buddha. And I would take refuge in my passport, or in my job, or in my ego, or in my friends, or in my beautiful body. But that's not the case. The case is that there is a Buddha nature. And that's the inner refuge, with the Dharma and the Sangha as guides and friends. That's the proof of why inner refuge is important, is impossible, and is the only way. With the help of the Buddha, Sakya Monk and his teachings, and the precious teachers and our spiritual friends, and the Dharma texts, and our practice in daily life, then we can achieve, can take refuge, and then we can achieve Buddha Dharma, ultimate Buddha Dharma, and Sangha qualities. Green Tara is also in my mind. Chenrezig is also in my mind, in the mind. Manjushri is the mind. Medicine Buddha is quality of the mind. Maitreya is the inner quality of loving kindness. There's no Maitreya floating around in my room here. I don't think so, but you never know. It's all inside. Okay. So let's have a minute or so, a short break before we start with some meditations on emptiness, or maybe you have questions or protest. So, okay, I will not explain what is emptiness because it is a very large topic, but the essence of emptiness is, what is the definition of emptiness? And then there's no phenomena outside of us or inside my body or feelings or thinking that does last. Every phenomena arises and disappears. Every phenomena arises in dependence of causes and circumstances. So phenomena do not arise, feelings and thoughts do not arise out of themselves. They arise as a consequence of cause and circumstances. And all phenomena are composed of parts, several parts. For instance, a body has many, many parts. And these many parts we call a body. So it means these parts together are nominated, a concept, given a name. So phenomena do not last. They arise in dependence on causes and circumstances, and they are composed of many parts, and these components together are given a name, are nominated, a table or a body, a friend, whatever. So this is, in brief, the definition of emptiness. And why is emptiness so important? That's very simple. If there wouldn't be emptiness in the phenomena, if there wouldn't be emptiness, then liberation would not be possible. If there would not be emptiness, then there could not be a Buddha. If there is no emptiness in all the phenomena, there could not be a dharma, and there could not be the bodhisattvas. There could not be limitless compassion. There could not be limitless love. And without emptiness, there could not be any equanimity. And without emptiness, there could not be liberation. So that is the importance of emptiness. But this is just very brief to give you a frame of for the meditations. So there are many meditations on emptiness, and we have some time to do several. Most of them will maybe familiar. We cannot practice all of them, but we can continue next week, or you continue in your daily life. So please sit comfortable. And what we are doing in emptiness meditation is that we are seeking if there is anything to be established as existing. We are seeking if there is a phenomena that can really ultimately exist or not. That is what we are doing in emptiness meditation. So the very first, to take some random beautiful examples. So the first is, if you reflect on today, I think you had many feelings, many mental formations, thinking. You have met people, nice and positive and negative situations, positive and negative feelings and thoughts, positive and negative encounters. Many things happened today. So here you can wonder what is left, what has happened to all these situations, feelings, mental formations, encounters. What has happened to them? Where are they? Do they exist? Do they still exist? Or are they gone? And if all these situations and encounters and feelings and so on not longer exist, where did they disappear? Where did they arise and where did they disappear? Or how did they arise and how did they disappear? How beautiful, how ugly. Where are they now? And if I remember them, if I recollect them as having happened today, now I think of them, is this situation or are these feelings really existing now that I remember them? Is the situation there? Are the feelings and all the mental formations, are they real, related to the situation, or are they a memory? And since all these memories came up one after another, where did they arise? Where did they disappear? If they did not really exist as such, where did they arise and where did they disappear? Or to approach in another way, was there today anything or someone or myself that did not change? So this past 8, 10 or 12 hours, was there anything that happened and that did not change? It was exactly the same this morning as it is now. And suppose that the conclusion is that everything changed and disappeared. So is there any essence or any benefit in grasping and attachment to what happened today? Or is there any benefit in rejecting or suppressing or denying what happened today? If all the experience did not really exist, but arose and disappeared, what is the use of attachment, grasping, holding, or rejecting, and so on? What is the use of it? Is this really happening? What would happen if I could abide in the equanimity of everything arises and everything disappears? is I abide in the view of relative reality. What would be the benefit of understanding? And if I consider the past day, all the things that, all the I, all the me, all the ego that was involved in everything I said or did or thought, where is this I, this me? Can you find it somewhere in your body? Can you find the me, the ego, somewhere in the mind? Where is it? How does it look like? Is this a constant I, constant me, constant ego, unchanging? Or is it constant changing in quality? Are my feelings the ego, the I? But my feelings change all the time, depending on circumstances. So can there be an I in constant change of feelings? Or is this just nomination? Or maybe all the way I think, all my concepts and all my opinions and all my conclusions and all my judgments and all my analyzing someone or myself. Is this all these opinions and so on? Is this the I? And when I have positive thoughts, is that a good I? And when I have negative thoughts, this is not me. So is the I constant, present in the same quality? Or is it the emptiness of constant change? Then, yeah, there must be a mind. I experience the mind. So, if I experience the mind, and we cannot find the I, the me, maybe I can find where the mind is. Is it in the brains or somewhere else in the body? I experience it all day long, so it must be somewhere. Where is it? When I think of a holiday country, is my mind in a holiday country? Or is the mind inside? Also, when I think of outer phenomena, is still the mind inside or is the mind outside? And when I experience the mind all day long, as the mind probably maybe a substance. What kinds of substance is it? Is it light? Is it molecules? Is it energy? Can we make a definition? Then for the consciousness, finally, I perceive the world outside of me through the eyes, through the ears, the nose, the smell, and the taste, and the skin. So does this mean that the outside world comes into my senses? That the outside world is inside of me? Or is my consciousness creating all kinds of conclusions, all kinds of interpretations, all kinds of projections, all kinds of feelings and mental formations? Am I the creator of the inside world? Or is the outside world coming inside of me? And everything that I create, everything that I perceive, everything that I judge, what is happening in the outside world, all my judgments, all my concepts, all my opinions, and so on, all my positive and negative reactions. Are they created by me, or is the outside world or the other person to blame? Who is the creator of suffering and happiness? Is it the outside world? Or is it all my judgment and concepts and opinions, projections, who's creating enemies and friends, and so on. Am I creating the world? Or is the outside world creating me? So, okay, thank you. So it can be very helpful to remember now and then in daily life these reflections might bring some more peace and happiness. So anyways, okay. Okay, thank you for your sharing. There is a very beautiful song as well before you go to sleep. Very nice to fall asleep with. That out of emptiness means there is liberation. This liberation is in the emptiness is profound equanimity, because there's nothing that disturbs. Profound equanimity. From the equanimity is based on the wisdom. So equanimity is based on wisdom, means understanding reality as it is. And this wisdom with its equanimity is what we call Mahamudra and Mahakaruna. Mahamudra is the ultimate wisdom, and Mahakaruna is the ultimate compassion, the great wisdom and the great compassion. And this is the ultimate liberation. I will write it down, you can read it again. Okay, so sleep well. Thank you. See you next time.